You're listening to Life Check Yourself with life coach, transformational leader, and dating and relationship badass, Marni Batista. Every week, you'll get the raw truth from top experts and real people on the important life and love issues you want to know about. So, if you're ready to life check yourself in your relationships, your career, and the areas of your life that matter most to you, and you're not afraid to be called out on your, stuff, then you're ready for what's next.
Life Check Yourself with Chris Gillis. Do not do this. Top 2 attraction killers explained. Ladies, are you ready to life check yourself? We got Chris Gillis here. It's my favorite time of the week when I get to dish all things dating and relationships with the one and only Chris Gillis, who I just realized is going to be back on the man panel for Ignite Your Life. If you have not, I don't know when you're listening to this, but if you're listening to this before January 2022, get your ticket now for Ignite Your Life 3-day virtual retreat starring Chris Gillis on our man panel.
What's a man panel, Marni?
A man panel is where you come to the evening session with questions you always wanted to ask men who would tell you the truth. So we've got Chris and a variety of other quality dudes of all different ages and relationship status, giving the truth, telling the truth. I always say, like, what would you tell your sister? Like, you tell her the truth, and that's what it is. And the women love it. It's
a safe place for us to not, and Marni's really good about creating that environment, which I appreciate, to keep it real, and that's our only obligation, is to tell the truth, and even sometimes we don't want to hear it, but also I like that you bring a really cool variety of guys on, and sometimes we disagree, and then you guys can take with it whatever works for you.
Yeah, no, it's so cool. So it's IYLVIP.com, IYLVIP.com, and if you're listening to this after that, just hit IYLVIP.com anyway, and you get on the wait list for the next time we do it. All right. We are talking, oh my God. We're talking about Clayton, who's not Colton. Clayton is a big dude. He's like Popeye.
Yes.
The whole time I was like,
everything's clothes are like, he's just fucking massive.
He's
like
massive.
6'5", 260.
Yeah.
He's a mountain of a man.
He is. And the girls are so tiny. So here's what I wanted to talk about from this show. I was cringe. There was a young woman named Cassidy who is so aggressive. She's like, just wants to make out with them all the time. Like, basically, she's like, hi, let's talk. And let's make out. So first of all, I am cringing over her assertiveness. I think it's aggressive, not assertive. Also, I'm a little, I don't know. I think she's just going hard for the sex, like sexual connection, like you want me rather than, who she is. And I also think she's super, like I want to talk about all these points. And like her vulnerability feels like super fake. Because she's like, I like you. I really, I like you. Like that's what all she says. She's like, I like you. And then she like jumps on his lap. So what do you think about Cassidy and what's interesting, assertive and aggressive?
Ooh, I love that. Yeah. Because you're always like, that's a scary thing about relationships. It's easy to sit back and, and wait for the guy to do all the work and, make the moves and be courageous. And you're like, oh, what do you something? Don't you have something about something doing it courageously? Or maybe it's Brene Brown, daring courageously or whatever. And and she's got balls, but almost like too big of balls. And you're like, eh. And she turns a dude where she's just trying to get laid. And you're like, wait, what's going on here? You're right. It was a turn. It was a turn off. I get it. So, I'm sure out there when you're trying to date a high value man who's got a ton of potential suitors and ladies he's dating, I can imagine that those competitive juices flow. But definitely there is a line that I felt that she crossed it. It was not attractive, and that becomes almost instead of strong, it becomes almost needy or weak, and definitely inauthentic. We'll see if he figures out. I think a quality man would figure that out. That she's, like we've said before, she doesn't seem like she's there to win him. She's just ready there to win whatever place, whatever avatar is in the placement of being the Bachelor. So I didn't like it. I 100% agree with you. She doesn't ask the quality questions, the whys. Just I like not. There's no because after anything, which shows very shallow.
Which, by the way, I think for those of you who do watch the Bachelor franchise shows, I think I'm calling Clayton has a little Matt James syndrome, which is another cast member of the past, because he literally, like, this bugs so much. And I think, again, is this, like, I want people to just listen and watch, because it's not vulnerability. Like, and this wasn't Cassidy, this was another girl, maybe Serena or maybe another one of them. And she's like talking about something really personal. I can't remember which one it was, but she was talking about a story about maybe her parents, and her dad was ill and he was in the ICU. And like, she's saying, like, her parents have been married a long time and family is really important to her and how you show up for each other. And her mom was in the, really like with her dad, and that's what I want. And instead of like sharing or acknowledging or validating, like, wow, that must have been so hard for you. It sounds like your mom's an amazing person. Like, what are he was like, what I really like about you is that you seem like you are a, blah person, and you are really smart. And he's like basically analyzing them out loud. You have a lot of the qualities that I'm really looking for. And like, it's a fucking job interview.
Interesting. Instead of actually taking the information sharing and letting it land somewhere.
He didn't share anything, Chris. Like, he didn't say like, oh yeah, like my mom was around, my dad. And so I really want this. I want to like really point this out, because I think like when I talk to people, they're like, I'm totally vulnerable on a date, or I'm
sure,
I'm super open, and I really want you all to understand that you might think you're being open because words are coming out of your mouth. But that was so in the head. I didn't get any heart from Clayton in any of those connections with any of the women so far, in my opinion. Maybe a little bit with Serena. Yeah,
I agree. And maybe, and I think you point out something that's important to recognize. Yeah, vulnerability isn't just on the person holding the microphone. It's also on the listener as well. And
yes.
That's probably why it was off-putting to Clayton, because he's not letting. Instead, he's just like sitting back, like he's the big swinging dick holding the interview behind the desk, making the decision with the pen and paper, checking off, versus actually listening with an open heart and seeing where that lands, and if it resonates with him, and if it stirs up there weren't any feelings inside him, right? He just had that big old underbite smile of his, just kind of grinning away and checking stuff off.
Ladies, you should literally hit the little rewind for 30 seconds and listen to the wisdom of Mr. Gillis again on what he just said, because that is just such a huge, huge point. Like, if you show up on a date energetically, like you are sitting there behind the desk being like, does this person check my fucking boxes? And then whether you say it out loud or you're thinking it, like, oh, I really like this person. He seems like he has a very good relationship with his family. Oh, I really like that he has a good job. He seems very, and then what Clayton's doing is he's basically saying that, I really like that you're independent. I really like that you seem to, you're like, okay. So to me, like, there's a lot of focus here on physical connection and chemistry. And I haven't really seen any like heartfelt connections, but I have seen some of the women trying to do that, I think, on a couple of the dates. At least the young woman who was saying about her dad. I can't remember her name.
I don't remember. It is. Gosh, I'm just thinking about how it is. Women are geniuses. Women are so good at, and we see this every season. They quickly suss out what gets the, at what level are the Bachelors, the Matt Jameses versus the Pile of Pete's versus whatever. Like what is, how are the men, what frequency are they picking it up on? And oftentimes it's just, they can just climb in. It becomes a a contest to climb in their lap in his lap as fast as possible and jump hug and all these things. And so it takes so long. And the guy's too busy holding girls, making out with them. His mouth's too busy, in somebody else's mouth to actually connect and speak with somebody else. And it's really Darwin-esque. And I just got to applaud those gals who
I know
who know how to get these guys' attention. And the producer are great. And I think eventually he will have to, go deep and open up and not just maybe just let's give him the benefit of the doubt. It's box checking. He's got what feels like 100 women there. And he's like, okay, I got to quickly suss some of these out because I want to have sex with them all.
Exactly. What am I going to do? I think, and the other thing that I think is really interesting too is I want to talk about Elizabeth. Is that her name? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think, there was a really interesting thing came up, and she in this particular example, it's between two women actually, and one woman is like, "Wow, this could happen in real life so easily. We were out like at lunch the other day, and I said something to you, and then like you just ignored me, and like we're talking to Sally instead, and I feel like I thought we were friends, right?" And what happens is she's like, "Well, I have ADHD, and so I can't process incoming information at the same time," and which I thought that was a super fair thing. And then what happens from there is dramatic and all of this kind of stuff. But I'm really interested. You said maybe she was saying that as a way to distract, like more not from a vulnerable, authentic place, but more like is she – and the reason why I want to bring this up is because I think for a lot of people who are dating, they and where this goes back to the vulnerability thing is like I want to say something that is vulnerable, so I'm going to share. And I call this one the medical overshare. Right? Like, is it really is that really vulnerability? Is it in context? Are you just saying that? What's your awareness around sharing that kind of information?
Wow.
Right? What do you think about that? Because I have a couple of examples with my clients that I want to share with you. But what do you think about that? And I'm wondering if your former girlfriend before this, she seems like she would be a person who would do that. Or have you ever been on a date where someone did the medical overshare and you're like, well, why?
Yeah, God, and that's a great takeaway. I saw that's fantastic. Good job, Marni. Sid, you're right, and that is 100% a real life dating thing, and it is gals, guys, we've done it too. I love it. It's it's an inauthentic, fake, vulnerable. I'm going to be vulnerable, but you're not. It's rehearsed. It's done a million times. I think this is why my bullshit meter went off. And this is what we always talk about with vulnerability. We say vulnerability is daring bravely into that unknown space, and not knowing without an expectation and a need for it to turn out to get a specific result. Yep. The reason I called bullshit, and Dr. Emily and I kind of got into it, and I didn't put my finger on it now until you brought it up, was because I felt like, which I told you, I felt like she said that, and it was. And she said with the sole intention and purpose, and was actually surprised when it didn't shut down the situation. And I think a lot of times, yes, a medical vulnerability, fake vulnerability is brought there to be like, oh, well, I can't do this because I have whatever, celiac disease.
Oh, as a disclaimer, an excuse for certain behaviors.
Sure. Yeah, I can't go here, or I don't want to do something.
Oh. This is so deep because this is something that Jeremy will say to me all the time. That I don't remember things, or that I don't, blah, 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 right? And so I'm taking it now from the medical just to the oh, well, I'm this way, so therefore I don't have to try and change it, or therefore I don't have to, blah, 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 blah. So I think that there's variations of that, right? And when you are, and the thing that I think is super interesting, where was I? I was researching. I was interviewing. Oh, I did a show yesterday with a great guest. You guys want to check this one out with Tracy Crossley. But she was talking about how we need to take responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what creates connection.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so in that instance, Elizabeth is sort of like saying, well, I have ADHD, and your bullshit meter went up because you thought she would just be like, oh, I'm really sorry. I understand that. Okay,
Yeah.
let's be friends.
She's supposed to do that. And then Elizabeth had this like, how dare you keep talking after I said my trump card? The conversation's over. I said, maybe you didn't hear me. I said I have ADHD.
How could she have done? Okay, so if she was going to take responsibility.
Yeah.
Okay, so she's saying, I felt like you ignored me, or I felt unimportant, or whatever, I felt like I thought we were better friends than the way you treated me. Again, this happens in real life all the time.
Fuck yeah.
And let's say she does have ADHD or any other atypical neuro disorder, or whatever it is, which a lot of us do. What could she have said that would have been like taking responsibility and vulnerable versus like an explanation?
Sure. I think first of all, take a beat, because she was clearly annoyed by Shanae, and she was like, God, I wish this girl would just go away. But to take a beat, I think if you're going to share something vulnerable, it's important to take a deep breath and then make sure it's shared from a calm place that you can be vulnerable in, not just a shut the fuck up sticker that you're slapping on someone, which is what she did. So I think, yeah, she didn't miss. She really was just wanting to end the conversation. And I think, yeah, if she would have, okay, and, like, I hear you, got to a neutral place. And I don't know if is it ever possible to share vulnerability if it's in like an excited, annoyed, probably difficult. To do that. But there was too much energy in that conversation, and too much confusion and victimy stuff, and from Shanae's aspect. So I think that's what led it to kind of the disaster that it all turned into.
Yeah, it turned into a giant thing. I mean, I think if she could have said like, wow, I'm really sorry I made you feel that way.
That's it. Yep.
Shit, I didn't realize that happened.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so sorry I hurt your feelings and made you feel unimportant, and that we weren't good friends. Sometimes, because I have an auditory processing challenge, I don't hear things in my periphery.
Yeah.
And and I do that sometimes. And oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
Or because I don't think she wants to say sorry, or just like, just let you know, it wasn't. This happens, a lot. It's not, again, it's not just you, and to let her know, sorry, or it wasn't intentional. I suppose can be. If you can't get the place to say
and
sorry.
I think the other thing interesting too is like we always talk about like the repair conversation. It's like trying to end it with like. So next time what I'd like from you is, and next time what I can do is. And so she could have even, and so interesting for Elizabeth, if this really is a challenge, which I could assume it's a huge one, I'm wondering if she has set up for herself guards, right? Like, or little processes or procedures, right? So if someone's trying to talk to me or says something and I'm not responding, like, that happens. So what I need for you to do is just like put your hand on my arm, like, and let me know you're there, or whatever it is. And then next time what I'd like from you is to just tell me right after, or whatever it is, right? Or come up with a solution so that it doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like a grown ass way to like take responsibility rather than just saying, well, I have this. So that's why, okay, let's move on. And and I don't like Shanae's character very much. And her name's Shanae, but I don't know. I just started calling her Shanae before.
She dubbed herself Shanae.
She did. By the end of the episode, she was calling herself Shanae. But I don't like her character very much. But I think she was being manipulative to start with. I don't really know if she really did feel unimportant or disrespected. Yeah. Who the hell knows? But I think in the end, it's a great example of how friends, colleagues, romantic relationships, we have misunderstandings, and a good way to like try and and repair it.
What was the name of the gal you interviewed?
Tracy Crossley.
Tracy Crossley?
Yeah.
She said something in there. I think that the powerful takeaway is that, and this is so true, is that taking ownership and responsibility it's just sexy. It's strong. It's powerful.
Yep.
And when I went on Reddit and I went down because I felt off. I told you, Dr. Emily and I we kind of got into a little tip at the end of the night about how I perceived that interaction, what she did. And I woke up and I went on a Reddit thread, and what was consistent, what I found off-putting, gross, is that from all these women who are Bachelor fans who do have ADHD, they were saying everything valid. But what I noticed is that it was all same thing, that it was from both sides. Same thing that was gross about Shanae. It was all very victimy. It was all about themselves and about how they're misunderstood and poor me and life is so hard. And there was nobody did what you just said there. There was nobody stepping in and saying, or even trying to help out, or not a single one of these people who were so upset and off put by this this mental different ability to process information. And instead it was all about how I'm the one who's hurt. Everybody's hurting me and I'm misunderstood, versus I can help people understand. And that's
so true, Chris. I mean, if you look at like one of our favorite shows, Love on the Spectrum,
yes,
they have a lot of different atypical neuro behaviors, and they're all like, these are how I am, so let me figure out how to do a workaround for it so I can still make a connection. Right. It's a superpower. And so, that's so true. So I think that is great. And then just to circle back to the medical overshare, I think like if you guys go back and listen to my example, it's not like, I have ADHD. It's like, I have a process. Sometimes I'm processing, right? That's like a first date situation. Like maybe on the third or fourth date, you could be like, I have ADHD. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so it's like I had a when I was way back when I was coaching men, I had a dude who went on a date, really gorgeous woman. He was super excited about it, and they were at the dinner, and he offered her some like gourmet macaroni and cheese that he had ordered. Like, hey, do you want to try this? Amazing. And she went into this whole thing about how like she has congenital heart disease and like she doesn't like to eat dairy, and she's this like sexy ass gorgeous woman. Like if you think of an LA woman, like that was her, right? Mm-hmm. And he just was like, not like, ooh, that's bad, but he was like, I want to have kids someday. And so he was like, do I really want to be in a relationship with someone who has a congenital thing? Like, am I going to pass that on? He literally didn't go out with her again. Fair enough, because he was like that. I don't know enough about it and I don't want to research it, but the whole thing just put him off, And so again, like, be discerning about what you share and when you share it. Yeah. You don't need to throw everything out there on the first date.
Yeah. And if you do, and if it does need to be shared, what's so important is to the person you're on a date with, is he's perceiving how you feel about it. If it's like we're talking about Love on the Spectrum, if it's something that you're like, this is it changes things, but because of that, it's given me XYZ, superpower, benefit, life perspective, whatever it is, that's hot, that's sexy, that's awesome, that's going to make our life more, it's going to make our life even better. But if it's something like, oh my gosh, this is a crutch, this is going to hurt me, then we're like, stay away, danger, Will Robinson.
Danger, I like that, danger. Okay, let's talk about Shanae. You said she is begging to be noticed. She's that person who's like, she reminds me of like, have you ever been out and there's a guy and he's talking to a woman, and there's a difference between being like assertive and trying to break into the circle, and then there's that woman who's like, hey everybody, and you're like, we're in a conversation. Hi Shanae, and then you go back to the conversation, right? Like there's like, it's like she has she's not picking up the social cues,
right?
And she's also being aggro, in my opinion, versus like just assertive and sweet, or it's just kind of freaking me out. Her and Cassidy are like,
and it's funny. I 100%. I'm thinking of a few friends that I have who are just, again, like you said, these gorgeous prototypical Los Angeles women who have everything going for them, and they are so incredibly cringy because if people don't look at them or talk to them for a few minutes, their narcissism is so high. Everything needs to be about them, and it's just a total turnoff. And these poor girls can't land a date, or at least a second date. To help them out, they can't get out of their own way. They can't. They're so uncomfortable being, just in their own skin, and it's a lot of work to be with somebody like that. Anyways.
Yeah. If that's you, call me. Okay, so let's talk about this. The friends with benefits.
Yes, finally. I was afraid we weren't going to get there.
No, we're getting there.
Oh.
So in this episode, I think it is Cassidy who basically says it's on camera, but it's sort of like one of those like ring, looks like a Ring video, Yeah. It was not the one that made the final cut, but then they're like, ooh, this is so good, we have to put it in. So it's not shot well, but it's basically her saying, I have this guy I hook up with off and on at home, and I couldn't tell him where I was, but he's like, ooh, let's watch together and bang, right? Like he's like, cool, hit me up when you're back. Well, fuck. And he tries to make it nice by saying we'll watch the show together, which is funny. Anyway, so and I am just like, the question is, and I think this is a pretty good topic. Can you bang your friends with benefits and also date with dignity? Like actually look for a long-term relationship?
So, I like it, but I don't know. Maybe you will. But guys, oftentimes, most of the time, can have F buddies, and it's because men we're not good at all. We don't have the dignity that oftentimes the internal that you do, and if we're not hooking up, oftentimes we're out of practice and cycle, and things don't go great. So I don't know many men who do when they're in off season, not in a relationship.
Off season, that's so funny.
Who don't just have some piece of ass on the side that.
Why can't they just have a wank? As my husband would say.
A wank. Yeah, no, that's a poor man. Come on, we can all of that.
Date with Rosie Palm? Come on.
No, you don't want to look at you. That's humiliating after you're done. You're like, the shame that runs over you, and you could be and should be with the warmth of another woman. It's just that's such a option Z. It's the worst thing. No, it's tough. No, absolutely no. It because the wank's the easy way out. And maybe it's just like warming up a little bit. A wank's like playing a video game on baseball versus getting in a fuck buddy. At least you're in a batting cage, swinging a real bat. It's not a real game.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's true. Like if it's a regular person that you hook up with, I don't know. I mean, I think this would be when I was dating, I would think this would be a don't ask, don't tell. Right? Like, I don't want to know this is going on, which is why you should all get STD tests before you consummate your relationships, in my opinion. But I think for women, it's a little harder because what I learned in my own experience was when I was single, I thought I could do it, right? Like I separated dudes, right? Into like dating, like actual relationship material, and then just, my friend's benefit guy or whatever it is. Notice I didn't say guys. But and I had myself sort of convinced for me that I could keep them separate. But what I realized was that I was practicing being guarded with the FWB guy because I just was like emotionally disconnected and just having fun. And that was fun and it was fine. But then there just came this point for me where I realized it was still impacting my ability to really be open because I kind of had like a safety in the background, which gave me the feeling of like enough.
Yeah.
So when I coach women now, I try to discourage them from having that on the side because of that compartmentalization. No judgment. I think it just requires rigorous honesty. And for me, I noticed that in my journey, it was not working.
I don't think it works for God. I mean, all friends with benefits relationships, they come to an end at some point, and usually it's usually the female partner says, I can't do this anymore. And you know what? And that makes complete sense. No wonder guys like it so much, because we are able to compartmentalize that, and we get a lot of the benefits because you guys leak out that beautiful feminine girlfriend energy on accident. No matter how tough and badass and think you're being a little porn star, and you guys can't help but be nice and kind and give us a sample and a taste of having some of those girlfriend benefits as well. So it works great for guys, or else if it wouldn't, then there'd be a lot of women who are like, but it's very seldom the guy who cuts it off. It's the girl's like, okay, I can't do this anymore. So yeah, it is.
That's true. Though it's usually the women that end it, huh?
Fucking A, it really is. It always is. And I can think that's more evidence, time tested, that women should listen. Your gal should listen to your advice. And it's just something, it's not going to end the way that you think it's going to end. It's just fun. And that's every girl I started out, when I've had them, they're always like, promise. And I make them promise and pinky swear it's not going to get weird and things aren't going to get dramatic and emotions aren't going to get involved. And it's just this. And yeah, totally. And sure enough, never, ever, 0% of the times did ever not end badly.
I tried so hard to watch Yellowstone because I wanted to be cool and be in the conversation. But there's just way too much murder for me. But and I'm only watched season 1, so any of you watch this. But the character of Beth, the sister, did you watch it?
Yeah, I tried the same as you. Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, she is, let's just say, guarded. And there's a scene where she's fucking this guy, Rip or whatever his name is. Riff. I don't know if you saw it. And he pushes her up to this wall and he fucks her. And then he's like, do you want to go to a music festival? And she goes, now you always ruin it.
And right. And, because, what did he do wrong? He did everything, It's like, fuck it. Want to be, if he would have been damned if he would have just walked away, he would have ruined it. If he would be nice to her and asked for something, he would have ruined it. Yeah, whatever. Well,
then they have a conversation later, which is so insane. And she goes out on. So he said, why did I ruin it? And she says, because you asked me to a fucking festival. And he's like, well, how about if I say, let's go get a bottle of whiskey and watch fucking wolves eat the remains of a buffalo or some shit like that. And she's like, that's my kind of date, and they get in the truck and then they go and they watch the wolves gathering around the dead buffalo. And then she takes a swig of whiskey and then she runs out of the car. She's like, blah, trying to scare away the wolf. And he's like, you are a fucking crazy bitch. So she's got issues. Although my friends who watch Yellowstone are like, oh no, Beth, she evolves over the 4 seasons. She's amazing. So I couldn't stay with it. But anyway, I think that's sort of what happens. Typically, it's the guy who's like, oh, God, you ruined it. We were just fucking and it was cool. And now you're like, hey, do you want to go hang out with me and my friends? So I think it's not a good thing. I believe in the context of this TV program we're talking about, The Bachelor. Everything points to Cassidy being the foil, being the villain, being the one who is there for the wrong reasons. I think he said, can I take back a rose? I just think she's there for the wrong reasons, period. Sure. So and I don't really have any other things to say about freaking Cassidy.
I think with fuck buddies, it's absolutely, vital that we're clear on why we're doing what we're doing, why we're hooking up with this person who doesn't want to be in a relationship with us, and how we feel about it. And that just takes such incredible honesty. And Cassidy's kind of gross because you can see she's just so thirsty for constant attention, and that's her vagina is the same exact way, apparently, just so incredibly needs it and cannot be alone by herself and okay. Whereas there's some other gals who we haven't seen any screen time because they're sitting back and they have that. I mean, and not just nothing being classy is above all everything, but they're a little more demure and they just seem more calm and emotionally, mentally collected than her. And like you said, not that train wreck of a TV, so they're not getting all that airtime. But I think with fuck buddies, in particular for the gals who are out there doing it, it's a good idea, yeah, just to get real clear and say, hey, and also it's not a one-time check-in. Like, hey, okay, well maybe you're just tired of using your vibrator. Like, you know what, fuck it, this is a real guy, he's hot, I'm just going to use him. But then to continually to check in with yourself, and which and say, something's, I'm starting to have feelings for him, and that's what happens. Ironically, Marni, guys wouldn't, we would, if girls treated us as nasty and cold as we treat them when we're having fuck buddies, we wouldn't want them either, because the truth is, we just do it because we win every time. It's so stupid. As we get to walk away and say, you see, she left and, did all that. But if a girl was truly is emotionally removed, then that would feel very cold. And that's not really what, we may say that's what we do want, but it's not. We do want that flavor of that relationship as well. But I think, long story short,
don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it. Yeah, absolutely. And
don't do it.
If you have to do it, talk to Marni or your girlfriend and check in yourself every single time you have your feelings, and then be honest with yourself. And I think oftentimes you'll realize there's a little Cassidy emptiness hole that needs to be filled in more ways than one.
Yeah, and then it leaks into everything you do, right? Because then she's leading with sex, with Clayton. So there's some sort of thing going on there where like my value comes from sex.
Yeah.
So we want to watch that. Christopher, always a good chat with you. I'm really sad that there is a little reprieve next Monday. I don't know why, but our television program will not be on the television. So we will be taking a week off, ladies. I know you're going to be really sad, but that's why you should just come to Ignite Your Life, IYLVIP.com. Come see Chris Gillis and his super hotness that goes with that sexy voice. And whatever you do, even if you're horny, life check yourself. We'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for tuning into today's show. So if being in an intimate relationship in which you feel 100% seen, heard, and accepted by a high caliber man is a priority for you right now, and you're interested in seeing if you're a fit for working with me and my team at Dating with Dignity, here's what I want you to do. Just head over to DWD VIP, that's D as in dating, W, D as in dating, VIP.com, and book a call to speak with my team. We'll get on the phone with you for about 60 minutes, and you'll get crystal clear on what's stopping you from finding true love right now. We'll also take a look at what you want to create, what you want your whole life to look like when you're able to finally be fully expressed as a woman in a healthy relationship with an incredible guy. And if we can help you get from where you are right now to where you want to be, we will show you the fastest path possible that makes sense for you to do that. We help smart, successful women all over the world solve this one missing piece in their life so they can finally have it all. So to see if we can help you do the same thing, head over to DWDVIP.com. I'm Marni Batista, and let's talk soon.